So I've done a recent video about sleeping on the trail. So today I thought we would talk about sleeping on the trail. Two different subjects. I'm talking about sleeping on the trail. And as common as you might think it would be on a thru hike to find the utopian tent site every night, it's not. Oftentimes you'll be hiking into the dark looking for a spot and you just can't find it. On the Arizona Trail, northbound, coming out of Roosevelt Lake, the trail climbs for miles, and I've slept right on it. Here's a picture. And that's not a smart thing to do. You know, that trail wasn't that populated at the time, but there is a mountain bike race every year in the spring, and if I was camping at that time on that trail, I might get run over and end up waking up with tire tracks across my face. On the PCT, you know, a lot of people hike at night, especially in the hot desert area. So you don't want to be on the trail, them having to go around you or trip over you. But a lot of times, you know, they want you to stay 200 feet off the trail. Well, that's not always an option. On the PCT, I can remember sleeping right next to the trail and hearing people walking by all night long. So it's something that you just have to play it by ear. So it helps to use apps like Far Out, I think Half Mile. They all kind of tell you where there are some possible tent sites ahead, but you have to remember that everybody ahead of you and behind you have that same app. And so there's competition for good tent sites along these long trails, especially in the beginning before a lot of people drop out and they're very highly populated. You don't want to sleep near water for a couple of reasons, both having to do with animals. Besides, you know, taking care of a water source and not mucking it up, but animals come in there at night, so you're attracting animals into where you're going to camp, or you're scaring them off. Either way, it's not a good idea to camp near water. And you know, the 200 feet away from water to do any kind of dishes or anything like that apply whether you're camping or not. And the other thing is jurisdiction. You know, there are areas where you can't camp, and sometimes you have to set your pace so you get through that area or camp just on the outside of it before you get into it for the night, because you can't camp in certain areas, even though your PCT permit, say, gets you through a lot of areas. There's still restrictions in a lot of areas, so that's another thing to take into consideration. But you know, stopping early, which is what some people suggest, is not an option for me. I never do that. You know, I'm always pushing the envelope, and then I'm always looking for that spot to spend the night. And I don't need anything special. I usually need a postage stamp size spot. That's why I stay with small tents. But sometimes it still becomes a problem, and sometimes I hike into the dark, and sometimes I don't get that utopian site. I get whatever. Whatever's gonna work, it'll do. That kind of it'll do site. So anyway, consider these things. Keep smiling.